It's a pleasure to welcome you to BYU. Ambassador Wang was born in Heilongjiang province. This is the farthest northeastern province of China. A temperature just somewhat colder than Utah, so the ambassador feels somewhat comfortable here with the snow on the ground today. He says he's more comfortable if it's a meter deep, though. Ambassador Wang started his career in foreign affairs in 1972, where he served from 1972 until 1978 as an attaché at the Chinese embassy in the Republic of Malta. From 1978 until 1984, he worked as a section member and deputy section chief in the information department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Beijing. From 1984 until 1988, Ambassador Wang served as the first secretary and consular of the Chinese embassy in the Republic of Uganda. From 1988 until 1990, he was a counselor in the Department of West European Affairs in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that signaled a path change in his career. From 1990 until 1991, he was a consular in the Chinese embassy in Norway. And then he returned to Beijing again from 1991 until 1996, where he was a consular and then deputy director of the information department of Foreign Affairs. And then he went back to Africa in 1996, where until 1999 he served as the ambassador to the Republic of Zambia. His final posting as a foreign service officer for the People's Republic of China was from 1999 until 2003, when he served as the consul general at the Chinese consulate in San Francisco, California. Please welcome Ambassador Wang.
Thank you very much, Professor Hai and the Vice President of PIU, and Professor Peterson, and also First Secretary Robert is from Beijing. Now, students, good afternoon. And it's my privilege to be invited by Professor Hai and briefing about China and also Sino-American relations. And my topic is peaceful and the development of China and also Sino-American relations. And I will elaborate 4 points. First is a fast development, and second is peaceful development. Second is sustainable development. And third is peaceful development. And the last one is Sino-American relations. You know, China started economic reform and opened up to the outside world is in 1978. Up to now is 28 years. And during this period, China maintains a very quick growing. And average growing rate is 10%. You see, in some years, and 12%. The highest one is 14%. That's in 1994. And after last year, you see China GDP reached, you see, and $2.3 trillion US. It aligns as a fourth position in the world and behind the United States and Japan, also Germany. Trade during this period, trade also growing very fast. In January is 25 up to 25 average, and the highest period you see is 30%. The highest one is 36% growing every year. Now and after last year, the figure you see of trade and double you see and tracks trade is 1.4 trillion US. Alliance you see is number 3 is after United States and Japan. And the foreign currency reserve is number 1 in the world. Up to now is 1 trillion US. And during this period, China attracted, you see, and greatly, you see, for the foreign investment. In the 80s, you see, China attracted average is $40 billion US dollars. But in the 90s, last century, we attracted average about 50 billion. But after 2000, we attracted 60 or 70 billion US dollars. But last year is 78 billion US dollars. I think this investment and bringing also the technology is greatly helpful China's fast growing. And during this period, China's infrastructure is developed, greatly changed. You'll see in 28 years, China builds 80,000 highways in the whole nation, and 20,000 railways, and also China's telecommunication greatly developed. And now in China, we have more than 350 cell phone users, and telephone is over 250 telephones, and now in China, and over 100 million internet users. And during this period, you see the education in China also growing very, very fast. You'll see the primary schooling rate is 95%. That means 95% of Chinese children, you'll see, is enrolled into the schooling. And for the secondary, it's 53%. For the university, it's 21%. And every year, you'll see in China, we have 2.6 million graduates from university. In China, and the living standard of Chinese people also greatly raised. You see in the in the city, you see the people's living standard raised about 6 up to 7 times compared with the end of the 70s last century. But in the countryside, at least 3 up to 4 you see times raised. And now Chinese people now is save in the bank is over, you see, 2 trillion US dollars in the bank, and they're waiting for consuming. First, they are going to buy a house, then decorate. You see, you try to decorate their house into 5-star hotels, that level, and then they're buying, you see, cars, and then they want to spend the money, you see, traveling. The first place they wish to go is the United States. And for the time being, it's still difficult to get a visa, but I think it will be getting better, you see. And I know that you see that travel agencies between our two countries is approach each other to discuss how to attract Chinese travelers to the United States. And sometimes you see, I always criticize Americans is not wise enough, you see, to attract more Chinese. Then Chinese can spend this, stay in hotel, you see, and buying the gifts and spend a lot of money. That's a real business. But in China, we're also making a great progress, but at the same time facing a lot of problems. And sometimes you see the challenge is very serious. I think the most serious you see problem is agriculture. You see, in China we have over 800 million farmers in countryside, and their living standard is comparatively much lower. You see, and 2 or 3 times lower than the urban peoples, city peoples. And I think China will become stronger when you see the farmers get rich. So the central government pay great attention, you see, to solving this problem in the countryside. I think the main method, our main idea of solve this problem is to urbanize. You see, the urbanize not like you see taking immigrant the farmers to the city. We build the villages into a town. First, I think build industry in the villages, then build the villages into a town gradually to a small city. And I think it will take some time. And secondly, I think, as I just have mentioned, you see the gap. The gap first between the development of the gap. First is you see in the last 28 years, you see the developing mainly in the coast area. The inland is still poor. Some in the countryside and the mountain area, you see that area, people are very poor. So I think the gap is there. And secondly, I think the people in the city and in the urban area and also in the rural area, the gap is also very big. So I think gap means imbalance. Imbalance sometimes making trouble. So I think if China maintains society stable, we had to pay attention to the weak group, to the poor places. So I think, in the coming years, the government, central government, local government will locate, you see, more and more money for the developing of the poor areas. And thirdly, I think the banking and the financial industry is still weak, and also facing some challenge. You see, the 28 years economic reform now come to the core. That is the banking and financial, you see, and industry. And in the last 5 years, we spend, you see, and energy and times try to do something, change in the banking and the financial industry, and things are getting better. And the banking industry is improving and getting a little bit stronger. So I think at this moment, I think in my understanding, China's currency will speed up the revaluation, I think, and then I think the criticizing United States was getting less and less, I hope, yes. And another, lastly, you see, problem is corruption. I think corruption is everywhere, it's all the time, everywhere, in every country. But in China, during this period, the transition period, is you see sometimes you see it's easy to generate. You see the corruptions. We are in this period, and the government, central government, local government, are determined to fight against the corruptions. I think the corruption in China is getting less, but still it's a problem. We still need to pay attention to this. This is my first point, fast growing, but still facing these difficulties. The second is China's economy will and having your sustainable and growing, sustainable, you see, and developing. The first part, my point is the Chinese government have laid down the strategy, the aim and strategy and policy for the Chinese economy in the coming years. And in the last 28 years, you see we have faster growing, but we caused some problems. Special the problem of environment. And China's economy is faster growing at the cost of environment. That's very bad, you see. And I think that means we cost for our coming generations energy and resources. So now I think that the central government have laid down the strategy first to build Chinese society, an environment protecting society, and also a saving society. You see, we manufacturing, but waste a lot. Waste a lot of energy, waste a lot of, you see, the materials, we waste a lot of, you see, the time. So I think later will build a society. You see the things will be and permanently used, you see, and rotated, used such materials and such industry. And thirdly, I think it will build Chinese society and creative society, innovative society. China, you see, the gap between China with the United States, not only you see the economy, but because of education and the gap between China with the United States, the education. Creative. I know the American people are very much creative. The society is creative. I think your strength is in the creativity. But China, I think, will, from the very beginning of education, educate our pupils and students, have the mentality and thinking, you see, change the things, not going the old way, find some new ways, and have good ideas, new ideas. Try to build Chinese society, a creative society. Then China is going to build a society, a justice society. You see, it's not justice. People are very rich in the rural, but people very poor in the countryside. I think you see China will pay attention. You see to build the balance and justice and societies, then can maintain society and stable and tranquility. Second, you see for the sustainable, you see I mentioned, you see in the last 28 years, the development mainly, you see, is concentrated in the coast area. You see, when I wonder whether you have been in Shanghai or Beijing, when you're arriving in Shanghai, especially in Pudong, the Pu River, the eastern of Pu River, we call Pudong, that area, you will find that place is more New York than New York. A lot of high buildings, you see, and in Beijing it's also, so well, you see, realize that it's a developed country, it's not developing country. But when you go further inside of China, to the western part of China, countryside, remote area, boundary area, that area, still very, very poor. Let's say the Chinese government pay great attention to, you see, the fighting against the poverty. And 10 years ago, I think we have over 200 million Chinese people as the poor peoples. But now, and it's remained after 10 years, it's about only 35 million and poor people. That in China's standard. If in the UN standards, one day $1, I think in China still have 120, you see, poor peoples. And so I think I have mentioned that we should pay attention, you see, to build, you see, the rural area. So now in the coming years, the Chinese, the development, when the eastern coast area maintaining, you see, growing, maintaining fast development, then we will switch, you see, turning to the central China and northeastern part of China. Central China, that's in this area. Coast area, I think mainly in this area, I think well developed. In the coming years, probably in the coming 30 years, China mainly developed in this central China, and also a northeastern part of China. The reason is the central China is comparatively cost much lower than coast area. The land is cheap, labor is low, and also you see they have the advantage of personnel resources. You see in that area, you see many and good universities, especially in Xi'an and also Wuhan. You see, they have a very good, and good universities and the research institute, and also the workers there is very skillful. They have enough skillful workers. And that area, it's not very far from the coast, you see. And I have mentioned, you see, China is a highway and have built a lot of highways. Transport is a formed network. So I think that area, transportation also is not very like before. It's shut from the coast. Now it's easily connected with the coast. And so I think in the coming next 2 or 3 decades, I think China's the fastest development will be in that area. And also in the northeastern part, it's my hometown, that you call Manchuria, that area. There used to be you see, heavy industry area. The workers are very much skillful. So I think, so that's coming 2 or 3 decades. Furthermore, I think they will go to the west, to Tibet, and Xinjiang, you see, autonomous region, and also Qinghai, Yunnan, southwest Yunnan, that area. And this is my second, you see, and point for the sustainable, you see, development. Thirdly, development, you see, China in the last 28 years is mainly, you see, the manufacturing industry is well grown. So China is the number one manufacturer. Somebody called China is a workshop of the world. So many people, you see, wanted to give the order to China. Actually, China's factory is manufactured for the foreign companies, for the Japan company, for South Korea company, then export from China to the world, to the United States. Actually, you see, we have, you see, manufacturing and for them, but export, according they said, is from Beijing, you see. And also we're using all the raw materials. We're using materials for Japan or for South Korea, for Taiwan. And so I think, and also you see the manufacturing industry in the economic chain in the middle, it's the lowest profitable industry. Then China later will go up and down, low, up to designing and development. That's creative, innovation. Chinese people must have ideas, then turn idea to a technology. Then China will and developing the service industry. You see, China's service industry is very weak, and also I mentioned, you see, banking and financial and systems, and both this, I think, is very much profitable. And also, you see, China will building a good law firms, so accounting, you see, industry, as a consultant, you see, and so I think in this service area, in the coming years, you see, China will, you see, and spend more money and energy to develop. So I think all this can make Chinese and the economy and growing for a long time, you see. It's my second point, sustainable and development. The third is a peaceful development. You see, China is economy is growing. I said it's a list, you see, is in the 4th place of the world. People said China is stronger. Some people said China now is challenging the United States. So absolutely, I think that's absolutely not true. China has wanted to integrate it into the world. Chinese economy wanted to integrate it to become part of the world economy. China wanted to growing and developing within the current political order. We don't want to challenge the current political order, or to form a new order. That's not our aim. We want to build this order. We want to develop the growing within this order, political order. So I think and China have no intention, you see, to challenge the developed world and challenge, you see, Europe, challenge United States. So I think we wanted to, you see, go and cooperate with these countries. Secondly, China is seeking the two wings, all wings, you see, result. And China should be and also pay attention and give the concerning of the interest of the partners. So I think China is a wish, you see, have the cooperation, wish to growing with our partners, even can making the compromise. For example, during the 1997, the Asian and financial crisis of that time, and China's currency can devalued. If devalued, it will benefit ourselves, but it will do harm to our neighboring countries. But I think it will remain as it is. It's not devalued. And now you see we try to trade between China and United States. You see now it's uneven. It's in China's favor. But really China wanted to buy more from the United States. We can only buy, you see, Boeing and wheat and soybeans, you see, and the things we want to buy, but you don't sell to us. But we had to buy bonds. No other things, we buy bonds. But we try to make a compromise, you see, and more other examples. For example, our bordering. China, not like American. You see, America have two safe borders, direct borders. Nobody challenge you. But we have 14, you see, very, very difficult borders, direct borders. When you see the People's Republic of China is established, founded, all the borders is not, you see, and defined. It's not settled. We had to negotiate one by one. It's very, very difficult. It takes us 50 years. We solved nearly all the borders. The most difficult one is with Russia, with Vietnam, you see. Now it's the only one is India. But anyhow, with India, China, with India have set, you see, the negotiate principles. I think the speed will be quick. So, and China, time is going short, you see. Try, you see, China is wish to growing, don't make to disperse the tranquility, making short, you see, and we try, you see, to maintain peace, stability. At the same time, you see, China growing. And my fourth point is the Sino-American relations. The Sino-American relation is the most important bilateral relation in the world today. And now you see, and and China's relation and Sino-American relation is from very small, you see, growing very fast. In the last, you see, 34 years, which is the relation and open. The door is opened by the late President Nixon and and now is Dr. Kissinger. And although you see we are facing difficulties, but China Sino-American relation is growing and guided, you see, by the common interest. The common interest is growing on the ground, you see. Mainly it's a trade, you see, and also economic reform. Trade is, although it's not in our favor, it's not balanced in our favor, but it's benefit both sides. And when, because of a trade, the United consumer can save $60 billion every year. And the more in the world, every country, the more trade with China, they benefit the more, you see. And I think the balance, because you see, and only because I have mentioned, you see, the manufacturing industry is moving out of this country. And I think, anyhow, I think that both sides in China wish, you see, and to do whatever we can, you see, to make the trade between our two countries, the balance smaller and smaller, the gap and smaller and smaller. And actually, I think China and the United States is not competitive and relations. It actually is complementary. And I think China's economy mainly is manufacturing and produce daily necessities. But for the Americans, and I think it's high-tech, biotech, you see the banking service. I think this is your advantage. So I think and we produce, you want, and you produce, we want. I think we can and help each other. We can. It's really complementary. And secondly, I think actually up to now, you see the relation between China and the United States is very much closely related and locked each other. You see, when China as an economy and society is healthy and sound, I think American benefit from that. Vice versa. When the United States economy is sound and also internationally not facing difficulties, we benefit from that too. We worried about your economy in the second half is slow. It's not as healthy as the first half of this year. We even worried, you see, the situation in Iraq and Afghanistan, and also we try, you see, to join hands to solve these problems. And also, as we did, you see, and cooperatively solve the issue of North Korea nuclear issue and the Iran nuclear issue. You see, we try, you see, and see that American and you see no difficulty, then we'll benefit from this process. And of course, you see, and China and the United States, we are also facing some difficulty. First, I think the trade is not balanced in our favor. It's a big, you see, and deficit. You have a big deficit with China. And also, you are worried about China's currency. And also, Taiwan is a problem too, you see. I think now you see the relation between China and the United States is getting mature. So I think we can, and through the negotiate and talk to get the consensus and mutual understandings. And I think China and the United States is a two different countries. There's two different civilizations. I think we need, you see, to promote the mutual understanding, and also to promote and build, you see, the mutual trust between our two countries. I think the relation between our two countries is growing and developing this correct direction. So I'm very much confident, you see, the relation between our two countries, I think, will getting better and better. I think in this hand, we all should join hand to give our contribution for that. I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. I stopped right in time, and I wish to take your question. Yes, please.
You talk about China's shifting economic base.
Could you wait for the microphone?
You talked about China's shifting economic base from manufacturing to service-oriented industries like Europe and the United States. Do you worry about China's infant industries being able to compete with the well-established American financial industries and banking industries as China makes that transition at all?
And as a country, you see, as the size of China, we must have our, you see, and our own service industry. We must have our own, you see, banking and financial industry, and even you see the designing and developing, you see that industry. I think compete is a normal phenomenon of market economy, and I think everyone should make ourselves ready to compete with, to attend the competition. And but the compete should be healthy competition, and it's not you see and bad competition. And actually, I think everyone is facing the competition all the day.
China's been under considerable international criticism for their human rights. I was in Tibet this summer, and in talking with the Tibetans, they're not allowed to have pictures of the Dalai Lama, not allowed to have a traditional Tibetan flag. Can you explain why those are a threat to China?
You see, I just mentioned, you see, the Chinese developing is only economically, but actually I think Chinese, many people notice the economic, you see, change. And many people notice, many, you see, high tower is a built, and many roads, be a bridge, airport, you see. But actually, I think, in my understanding, my opinion, in China, the biggest change is the mentality of the Chinese people. And Chinese people now, you see, we enjoy, you see, and free expressing, you see, in China, we have over 7,000 newspapers and 5,000 magazines, you see, over 10,000, you see, and TV stations. When you see, open a paper every day, you can read article, criticize Chinese government, local government, even criticize government officials, you see, and by name. And I think nobody is punished because of this expression. And also, you see now in China, every day, in whole China, hundreds of demonstrations, strikes. But that is economically, salary is low, you see, they are laid off, they are not happy with their boss, something like that, you see. And also Chinese people, you see, enjoying free and believing. And in China, we have over 200 million Buddhists. When you travel to the countryside and in the village, the most beautiful building is a temple, everywhere. Also, the tomb is well built too. And also we have over and 50 million, you see, Muslims. The Xinjiang Autonomous Region, and also Ningxia, you see. We have two, and 还有什么呢？宁夏、广西呢？广西不是壮，是 two. You see, two autonomous region is Muslims. We have other, you see, small minorities, you see, and autonomous region. But these two, Xinjiang and Ningxia, is special for the Muslims. Regarding the Christian and Catholic, it was over 35,000 million, you see, Catholic. It's growing, and day by day. So I think it's free, you see. Although you object and also respect the law, nobody will be punished, or nobody, you see, cause difficulties, you see, because of believing no. So, and you see in China, many civil servants quit civil servant. Civil servant is a good job, but many is quit from, you see, the civil servant, join, you see, the private, you see, and the industries. And also there are some foreign, you see, companies, because they can get high pay. See. And people can travel from my hometown, near the border of Russia, to the Canton, opposite Hong Kong, that Canton South, to work. So I think and Chinese people is enjoying, you see, and their right, political right. In my opinion, some aspect, even they enjoy more right than in some other country, even some more right than in the United States. Election, we have election. The election now in the low level. At the beginning, I think, is in the village. That's 10 years, 15 years ago. And the former President Carter even went to our country monitoring, observing. Now it's reached at the town, then it's a county. At that level, the mayor county is elected. So I think gradually, you see, and China, we have more democracy and human rights. But one thing I would like to point out, that whatever China is and change and develop, Chinese democracy will never be the same as the United States or the same of European. That democracy will be China's democracy.
I noticed when I went to China this past summer, it was a great trip, and I noticed that, of course, I went to the big cities in Beijing and Shanghai. I noticed that some of the shopping malls reminded me of, I guess, something close to Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. And I thought, this was new to me. I thought, how do these people have all this money to spend in those big cities on very expensive clothing items and so forth? It was a surprise for me.
I think China and sometimes it's foreign people, and it's difficult and understand China. And first, Robert said he spent more than 14 years in China, both in Taiwan and mainland China. So still have something, you see, they couldn't understand. You see, in the United States, you see your shopping mall is far from the city. And you can drive to that shopping mall to shopping. But China, now the shopping mall first, I think, it's come to China. It's Walmart. 法国那叫什么了？啊？家乐福。English, I don't know. Careful, yeah. Now you see gradually, and gradually, I think more and more you see, and big retail company will come to China, like Costco, like Safeway, you see, and Macy, you see. I think will come to China, but at the beginning it will be very difficult for them. They must change their way, their running way, They must change into the American running way, into the Chinese running way. Then they can survive in China. For the time being, you see, our shops is scared in the city, smaller ones. You see, the people go there to buying, but these smaller ones later cannot compete with the big one like Walmart and Costco's. But China's and you see retail industry will facing this challenge, facing this competition. They will change themselves. I think retail is already open to the outside world. More and more retail and company will come to China.
In your lecture, you said China hasn't been able to buy some of its products from the United States. So is that why it's trying to improve relations with African nations, starting with the African Leaders Summit, in order to increase commercial relations between the two countries?
It's nothing to do with the relation between China and the United States. Is nothing to do with China and Sino-African relations. You see, first I answer, you see, why we cannot buy from United States, because I think we need to build mutual trust, you see, and don't worry about China. And United States, some people is worried, you see, when we get your technique, then it will overpass you. Then I think it's in the unique superpower status lost. Such things. Actually, I think it's you see, 水涨船高啊. When the water is growing, the boat is going up. You see, I think that's the relation. You see, when China is well developed, you see, from now is 10 times developed, but still the gap between China and United States, from the point of the quality of the economy, quality of people's life, and GDP per capita, the gap is 100 up to 150 years between China and the United States. You see, you are still strong enough. You see, it's not necessary. You see, be confident. You see, I think that's true. You see, and I think that's the reason. Regarding the African countries, you see, China and African countries, you see, historically we maintain a friendly and good relation. We provide aid from the 60s, immediately when they got independent, we provide aid. At that time, we're poor, we have not enough money to provide them. Now, we're buying materials from them. At the same time, we're building their economy. Nobody in the world, the rich country, can build infrastructure, build road for them. Nobody used to spend money, build your dams for them. But we do. Because we know, you see, and there should be two wings. And we got profit, you see, buying materials. But they got, you see, our aid, you see, and assistance, even trade with us. Trade between an African country now, this year, will be $50 billion. And I think 40% growing every year, you see, many years, you see. So I think the relation between China and the United States will getting better and better. At the same time, China and the African countries will getting better. I think it's nothing to do with each other.
Well, Ambassador Wang, we'd like to thank you very much for your comments. Many of the students have to go to class now, and so now we'll break. And for those of you who have to leave and go to class, welcome you to get up and leave now. And maybe some of you who have a few questions can come up and ask some short questions. But the formal ending will be here.